as life moves on, I'm starting to understand one thing about social relationships and just social life as a whole, because for a long time it was like an enigma, right? Like you don't know how do you go about it. What is it that makes allows relationships to grow, right? And for most of concepts in life, you can be intellectual about it. You can like think yourself into it, and if you want to understand what a car is, for example, you can break it down, and you break it down into like different pieces, and the whole thing becomes sort of a big plan. But the thing is, that's the thing of the mind, right? That's what the mind does. The mind takes things and breaks it into, from a bottle to now it's just plastic, and then it's a cap and a body, and it's a wrap, right? And it's ink, etc., etc. And so you break it down into pieces. But bonds and emotions and things of that nature, right? Those things that make relationships what they are, those things that actually are not concrete, they're abstract concepts. Those things are not things that you can go and actually think yourself into building them, right? Like even in life, those things that those jobs, works, the work which is to build, doesn't require thought. It does not require thought. But for a lot of us, we with the right intentions, we go into these things and we try to think ourselves into building bonds with people. We try to think ourselves into conversations and think ourselves into having good times. And it doesn't work that way, right? Because that effort is actually a product of ego. That effort is actually a question of, you don't think that it's enough for you to just be yourself and to not think. But it's kind of like a car going really fast. The faster the car goes, the faster you want to go, the least time you have to actually act. You know what I mean? The least time you have to actually intervene with the car. And so if you want to reach higher levels socially, if you want to actually go and grow a social life, grow bonds with people, grow relationships, have a higher frequency, right? How we call it. If you want to experience higher levels, you got to stop thinking. But the key is that to think, this whole to think becomes from a lack of trust into us, lack of trust into people. Good times, good emotions, good vibes, all that stuff is a question of trust. It's a trust of ourselves. It's a trust of the people around us, right? Because what you see in people is what you're going to trust. And so that's why it's a trust in ourselves. And the key there to stop the thinking is to take that gamble. And that's what we struggle with. This idea to just take a leap of faith onto us and to realize that there is only one perspective that we can have about life. There is only one way that we can look at life, which is authentic to us. And all the other ways that we have are actually just secondary to the main one. And if you can just understand that, and understand that that is exactly what we're supposed to do, is to take that gamble on that one, on that one perspective. And by honoring that, and by how we're going to treat that perspective, that's how people are going to treat us, because that's who we are when it comes down to it. Everything around us is a question of perspective. And bottom line is that really, if you want to stop thinking so much into your life, if you want to build deeper relationships, you want to develop bonds and grow and have times that you remember, and times that you feelings that you haven't had before, maybe or you had and you no longer have. It's all a question of thought. It's a question that you think that by thinking you're gonna get it, you're gonna understand it. There's nothing to understand. That's the key. And by letting go of trying to understand, then you can just be. But you gotta trust. You gotta trust you. You gotta trust. And by trusting you, you're gonna trust people. You're gonna trust what you see in people. It doesn't mean that you trust them to be something that they're not. You trust them to be who they are. And yeah, I hope that makes sense. right? Because it's a big thing, you know. You see it a lot in people, and you know, we're going through times where everybody goes through this thing of anxiety, this thing of like overthinking. I mean, there was a huge wave of that, right, in the last like couple of years. And you know, people blame COVID sometimes for, you know, their socializing or whatever, but really that's what it comes down to. And I wish I would have known this, you know, earlier, but you know, it's part of the process. And yeah, hope that this was valuable to you guys. I'm starting a school community, by the way. It should be in the bio, the link, and it's free for now for the people that are founding members. As it grows, thank you for watching. See you guys on the next one.